This substance must be consumed immediately. Now, this is what I was alluding to earlier. That's sugar water, less than 1% of your food value. This is orange juice, 100% of the food value. A fine coolant, a fine utilization of it will keep you from having insomnia, muscle cramping, premature fatigue. Tremendous, tremendous source of nutritional value. And here it is. Tremendous source of chlorophyll. Tremendous source. It's a biogenic, a healer. Not very many juicers, if at all, can do these leafy greens. This is an incredible amount of juice from that small amount of spinach. You must do the grapes with the stems and seeds and all. Now, this is not bottled grape juice. This is fresh grape juice, and all you necessarily have to do is break it up into little teeny clumps like that. If you just merely juice 2 oranges, the way I showed you, that is more than eating 40 oranges worth of bioflavonoids, which strengthens all the capillaries and blood vessels of the entire body. Now, before we do the fruit juices, I want to qualify and explain the difference between fruits and vegetables. Now, vegetables, we consider them to be our body builders. They will build the muscle, the tissues, the glands, the organs. Fruits, basically, are the body cleansers and quick energizers. Now, there's a little overlap there, but that's the way we basically categorize them. There is more juice in a carrot per volume than there is in an orange. And the juice of a carrot is identical in nutritional structure as the blood of the human body. And you've all been reading, you're finding out that people that consume beta-carotene on a daily basis will never have a normal cell turn cancerous. Amazing, isn't it? I want to say a few words about celery, one of the finest foods in the world for potassium and magnesium. Now, most of you, when you consume the celery edibly, you will take the celery and break it and string or strip it down. The most nutritious part of that celery are the strings. They are very difficult to masticate, however, I agree, but the most concentration source of potassium and magnesium are in these celery strings. A fine coolant, a fine utilization of it will keep you from having insomnia, muscle cramping, premature fatigue. Tremendous, tremendous source of nutritional value. This is the king of all leafy greens, spinach. Probably the finest food in the world for stimulating the intestinal peristaltic action, that beat of 22 beats per minute that we all lose when we eat devitalized, dead or cooked food. Now, when you're doing these leafy greens, parsley included, or anything leafy, romaine, lettuce, whatever, you must take these leafy greens and ball them up and shove them through that. And here it is. Tremendous source of chlorophyll. Tremendous source. It's a biogenic, a healer. Not very many juicers, if at all, can do these leafy greens. This is an incredible amount of juice from that small amount of spinach. Now, we're going to switch into the wheatgrass, which is almost impossible to do. And I want to show you how I cut the wheatgrass off. Here's my flat of wheatgrass that we purchased. And we take a knife or shears and you cut the wheatgrass right at the top, right above the wheat grain, the whole wheat berry. And this is what comes out of it. And you take a batch of it like this and fold it. The most nutritious part of that cabbage is the outside leaf to begin with. And then when you're doing things like the sprouts of various kind, you just make a little ball, not one at a time, but stuff them through there with that pounding action. All the vegetable juices that I just made and finished up with, to switch over to fruit juices, they are not compatible enzyme-wise. They'll cause a lot of gastritis. But there's a more viable reason why you don't mix fruits and vegetables. Vegetables have vegetable oils, unsaturated fatty acids. Fruits have fruit acids. And when you try to mix them, they will not They are not compatible. It is like trying to mix oil and water. They'll segregate and they'll bead, and they'll cause, when you consume them, in that combination, a lot of bloat and discomfort, and a lot of, gastritis, a lot of problems in the intestinal wall. You always want to use an apple to put right behind, and that will rinse and clear the machine out. Then put a clean glass under, as we're going to do with the watermelon. You only derive about 5% of the food value. You see, it's like a potato. If you just eat the inside, it's basically starch with a potato. Most of the food value lies in and just below the surface of the skin. The inner part of the watermelon, the edible part, is only about 5% of the nutritional value. The other 95% of the food value lies in this peeling and just below it. In fact, the watermelon rind itself, the outside green, is probably the #1 source of chlorophyll known to man. To my next drink, which is going to be pineapple, you would add an apple behind it. In this case, we are not going to do that, but I just wanted you to know that an apple is compatible with all fruits and or vegetables. Now, when you do a pineapple, a lot of you will take a pineapple and cut the cone off. Don't do that. The easiest way is to grab the cone of the pineapple, and it won't hurt you, and simply unscrew the bottom of it. And that's the way to decone a pineapple. Now we're going to switch over, and I'll show you another drink. There's your fresh pineapple. When you're doing grapes, you must do the grapes with the stems and seeds and all. Now this is not bottled grape juice. This is fresh grape juice, and all you necessarily have to do is break it up into little teeny clumps like that. Now, why the stems and the branches? Don't forget that this cord, this vine, is the umbilical cord of life. The nutrients from the soil and the sun must come through that vine to nurture these little branches and nurture the grape into maturity. The nutrients lie in that stem, and this is pure, unadulterated grape juice. Unheated and untreated. Now next, we're going to show you a very special way on how to do your citrus juices. Next, we're going to show you how to make citrus juice. Now most of you are accustomed to using either a manual or an electrical reamer. Now when you do cut an orange in half, when you do the orange like this, you would generally take the orange and squeeze it like that. And you're going to actually have orange juice. Now what you must do with an orange is peel, but save, retain as much of that white as you possibly can, because that white is over 80% of the nutritional value. It contains what we call bioflavonoids, which are vitamin C complex that strengthen all the capillaries and blood vessels of our entire body. This substance must be consumed immediately. Now this is what I was alluding to earlier. That's sugar water, less than 1% of your food value. This is orange juice, 100% of the food value. The same sugar that's here is in here, but it's all integrated. So there's a very slow entrance or osmosis into the bloodstream. Totally different. Now I'd like to make you the finest lemonade in the world. And we're not going to use anything like water or any sweetener like honey, much less sugar. Now I'm not taking the lemon and cutting it in half and just squeezing out the sugar water like that. If you just merely juice 2 oranges the way I showed you, that is more than eating 40 oranges worth of bioflavonoids, which strengthens all the capillaries and blood vessels of the entire body. Jay's Lemonade, one of the greatest diuretics and thirst quenchers known to man. So I drink this to your good health.